Welcome to Hispanic Biz Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. We have the privilege of discussing with entrepreneurs their story of how they grew their business and how they reached the success they have. We trust you find these stories interesting. Today we're fortunate to have with us a gentleman who's built a wonderful business, Mr. Johnny Orozco, who owns Home Theater Experts.
Home Theater Experts.
Thank you, Mr. Orozco, for taking time to be with us.
You're welcome.
So, Home Theater Experts, what is that?
Home Theater Experts is a company that does everything. We do audio, video, theater, surveillance, networking, whatever's low voltage, whatever's technology out there, we could do it.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been in business since 1999. I'm going to say about 22, 23 years now.
And how big is your business?
My business is about 12 vans, 14 employees. We have 3 girls in the office. 1 wasn't enough, 2 wasn't enough. So enough paper to be pushed and also the guys to be busy.
So what is it you do?
Oh God, we have contracts with many builders. We have contracts with commercial jobs. So basically, if you're buying a new home, we're pretty much the contractor that's going to wire it. If you're building a new business, we get a network call or we get someone that calls us that they're putting it up to bid and we bid on the project. So we go from wiring it to supplying the product and installing it and teaching how to use the product.
When you talk about wiring, you're talking about what kind of wiring?
We do low voltage wiring. We're not electricians, but it's pretty much something different than an electrician. So we pretty much do signal over wire. We also do audio over wire. So anytime you walk into a restaurant, you see the TVs on, you hear the music. We're part of that. That's our part. We do the exciting stuff.
And what do you do for homes?
Homes, we go ahead and wire it for cable, data, cameras, alarm system, whatever the house is going to take for the customer to be happy in the entertainment side.
And home security.
And home security.
But you also do some other things on the commercial and home.
Yeah, we're a company that likes to do more. I don't believe in the company saying, well, you need to get your electrician, you need to get your drywall guy, your masonry guy. We can pretty much do everything. I'm not talking about building a house. I'm just talking about like an entertainment wall or a garage that we're going to convert into a theater room. We could do platforms. We could do the rope lighting around it, close off the garage. So I like to do it from A to Z. I don't like to have to wait for anyone. We could do that in 2-3 days. If we wait for someone, it's about a 2-3 weeks project with a lot of excuses from other subcontractors.
So you do it yourself?
We just like to get in and out. We don't have time to wait.
What's the value of having a home theater system?
People stay home nowadays. It's nice to have family over. For me, I like to have my son's friends over. I like to see them enjoy it. I like to see them just hang out there instead of being out there in the heat or being out there at someone else's house. I like to have them at my house.
So you're all wired?
Yeah, definitely.
How about COVID? Did COVID affect you?
COVID really affected us. It really affected us bad. We continued to stay in business. What affected us was we lost employees, not due to COVID, just we downsized, trying to get employees. No one wants to work. So a lot of people took advantage of this, where you get money back from the government, where they file for unemployment, and they went for all those benefits, the extra money. So it was hard to get employees. We maintained most of our employees, but we lost a few due to them not wanting to work. But it downsized us and also it was harder to get materials, harder to set full install dates because we couldn't get the right product in. So it was really bad for us.
But you're recovering from all of that?
We're recovering slowly. It's not like it used to be.
Really? Wow. So, Mr. Orozco, where are you from?
I'm from El Paso.
Ah.
I'm from El Paso. I was born and raised here.
And your family, you have brothers and sisters?
So yes, I have my two sisters, Liz and Rosie. They live in California. High school year, I moved up to Oregon. Parents moved up there. I moved back down here because just Oregon wasn't for me. El Paso was where I had all my friends and liked El Paso more. I love the heat more than raining all the time.
Yeah. And your father, what did your father do?
My father was a long haul truck driver, worked for a big company, and did it for about 25 to 28 years, long haul.
And but you were telling me he passed away when you were young?
Yeah, so my father passed away at the age of 22. Pretty much, I think anyone that's a truck driver, you don't eat right, you don't sleep right, and when you're when you have diabetes, it's even harder for you to be on the road and control your diabetes. So I'm going to say that pretty much is what took him, because he wasn't in the greatest shape.
Oh wow! And because I also understand you're on the diabetes board now.
Yes, I'm also a board member of the El Paso Diabetes Center. I like to give back, and ever since I lost my dad, I like to be part of that diabetes.
Yeah. And your mother?
My mom passed away a few years after my dad did, and it was just downhill from there. I think when you love someone, it changes everything when you lose your soulmate.
Wow.
So
what did you learn from your dad and from your mom?
Oh God, my dad taught me everything without me even noticing what I was learning. It was always taking away my playtime to help him when he was home. It was roofing, it was adding on to our house, fixing the swamp cooler, mechanics, welding. My play time was always there helping him, not knowing that it was going to serve me purpose growing up in life.
So he taught you how to use a hammer, and
he taught me everything there is, that you don't need to call anyone, you could figure it out and do it yourself.
Wow. And your mother, what did you learn from your mom?
My mom was a very smart lady. I remember growing up, she did a lot of stock market. So the money that my dad made, she was always up early watching the stock market, and she was buying and selling and trading.
Really?
So made our family a lot of money for my dad to retire.
How'd she learn that?
I have no idea. Thinking about it, all I remember is that she was just born smart, and she was good at what she did. And I was amazed, because she used to have a notebook in front of her. She would just always write things down and call in and change. And I just know that for what my dad made was, when we moved up to Oregon, we had a ranch. Wow. We were able to live on a pretty big piece of land with a ranch. So I know that all my dad's hard work didn't buy that. I know that it was part of her hard work too.
Wow. 5 acres or more?
I'm going to say yes, about 5 or 10.
Wow, isn't that great? That's amazing. Different world though.
Oh yeah, different
So
world.
what high school did you go to?
I went to Irvin High School. My senior year wasn't really cutting it due to Juarez, going out all the time and enjoying the nightlife. So I had to make a decision to move back to Oregon and graduate up there. So I'm going to say I'm class of '89, Irvin and Roseburg. Roseburg, Oregon was the final high school I went to, so I still consider myself as part of Irvin because I was a big part of it, but I went to both high schools in the same year.
Oh, okay. And then what'd you do? Did you just get out? But you'd been working, when did you start working?
So I started working my senior year in Oregon. I worked at Wendy's. Part of me graduating up in Oregon, I had to have a work release. So I worked at Wendy's. I was flipping hamburgers. Also moving my way up into learning how to use the register, how to do other things in the restaurant. So I decided that I was going to come back down to El Paso, applied at Wendy's over here in El Paso, and got the job and worked my way up to opening and closing manager.
Really? What was your dream at that time?
My dream was just to live on my own and support myself. I had no other income coming in, so I had to pretty much.
So you came back on your own.
I came back on my own and had my first apartment and was trying to figure out life. Being 19 years old, it was between 18 and 19. It wasn't easy because all the decisions I made was going to affect me down the
Wow.
road.
So how long you worked for Wendy's?
Oh God, I worked for Wendy's till like about 20. I applied at a furniture store and they hired me. So started working there. I lasted 9 years. Working there, I just pretty much worked my way up into every position there was.
So you learned the furniture business?
I learned the furniture business. I learned how to deliver furniture, driving 26-foot trucks. I learned how to unload furniture from semi-trucks, how to warehouse it, stack it. I learned everything. You know, working there teaches you a lot of responsibility because people rely on you. People rely on you to do your job. People rely on you to help others. People rely on you on many things working there. I kind of see it as growing up a little bit quicker, because when you work in the food business, it's kind of, if you're not a manager, you're just going to pretty much just go and do your job. Working at other places just makes you grow up a little bit more faster because there's a lot more to be done.
Did you have some entrepreneurial urges then?
I always have. I've always been that kid that was always wanting to do things. So yes, working there, I wasn't satisfied. So I would do here and there little jobs, not much, but just anything that would make me money. If someone said, hey, I need help putting a fence up, would you help me? I'd go help. You know, I always wanted to make extra money because back then, being 19 years old, you want more and you need money. So it was always having to work for that money. When I say working my way up there, I worked my way into learning how to master skill being a forklift driver. I got into the service department. The company I worked for, they sent me off to several schools. Believe it or not, their school on furniture repair and refinishing. So I have 2 certifications. One is called Mohawk, one Star. It's certifications that you go and you spend a week in this class. It's not really written tests, it's hands-on. This class gives you all kinds of different kinds of wood, and they expect you to fix it, and that's your grade. Because there's so many kind of chemicals, so many kinds of paints. Some get fisheye, some don't take to the wood. So I learned that, and learning that put me in the service department where I was handling all the service calls for the guys that would damage furniture or trucks, loads that came in damaged. I would fix it. I did that, and at one point, DirecTV came in. They asked if I wanted to learn how to install DirecTV. So the company I worked for, they had a 1-year contract before any company in El Paso could install DirecTV. So I was the first installer in El Paso to install DirecTV. So Circuit City, Best Buy wasn't here. Walmart's, Kmart's, no one really sold DirecTV. So I had the upper hand on learning how to install DirecTV. So I learned a lot doing that because there was already audio components out there that you could combine with DirecTV, like surround sound, VCRs to record your programs. All that stuff was pretty cool to me because I started figuring out that when you flip over each box, it said audio in, audio out, video in. So that had to be for something. So that's when I started figuring out that, hey, all this stuff this customer had in their living room on top of their TV could be installed proper and get used the right way.
So were you still working for the furniture store?
I was still working for the furniture store. At that time, I was getting close to quitting. Pay wasn't the greatest. I decided that down the road I was going to do that, so I went on my own. I contracted pretty much almost every furniture company in El Paso. I was called Dr. Furniture, so I went door knocking, I call it, to Charlotte's Furniture, Rent-A-Centers, Dillard's, and said, hey, you know, damaged furniture, it's on your floor. I could repair it, give me an opportunity, and any customers that's not happy with their delivery, you know, send me out there. I'll make you money. I'll charge you money, I'll write you an invoice, you send that back to the manufacturer, you'll get discounted on your next order. So that worked really well. At the time I started doing that, I started to require needing a van because I couldn't carry everything in a car. So that's how I started getting into the security side, the home theater side.
That was on your own. So now you've graduated to your own business.
Yes, now I'm self-employed. At that time, I was repairing furniture. At the same time, I was also installing DirecTV. I found a place off of Butterfield Trail that sold DirecTV. I think it was like $99 for the dish and the receiver. While Best Buy came in Circuit City, they were charging $499 for the system and another $200 to install. So I was buying the units for $100 a piece, and I was calling my own price on it. So I just started having a lot of people calling me. So that's when I rolled into saying, you know, I kind of like this too, and I decided to buy a van because I needed a ladder, I needed a toolbox, so decided that I was going to register my company, and that's when I registered it back in '99. I called my company Home Theater Experts. So I pulled up to your house saying, I'm going to fix your dining room table. You look outside and you see a van that says Home Theater Experts. So you as a customer probably, you know, thought, what does that pertain to fixing furniture? So I'll be in your house about 30, 40 minutes later, you would ask me, what do you do? Because it says Home Theater Experts. And that's when I eyed your VCR and your TV, and I say, well, you see that? I could set it up to record talk shows or record any movies you want, and I do DirecTV. So pulling up to your house was sometimes 2 jobs in one.
Wow.
I started to do both. They were both equal. But I realized that I had to be more on the audio and video side because I was starting to get a flood of calls coming in on furniture repair. And I tried to teach one of my friends. It's an art, you know, knowing wood. You got to learn how to hide the disguise of the damage. So I realized that it was just me that learned that, and no one couldn't pick it up. So I had to really make a decision if I was going to stick to Dr. Furniture or Home Theater. So at the time that Dr. Furniture was going, Home Theater started taking off. So I had one customer that believed in me, Sam Schallenberger, Western Wholesale, asked me, you know, you want to come work for me and do these theater installs? Made me an offer. I felt I made a lot more than what he was offering me. Back then it was $12 an hour. I thought, you know, $12 an hour is nothing for what I make. So I decided to decline it. He said, well, wait, I have a good friend, Randy O'Leary, Desert View Homes. He wants some work done at his house. So I contacted Mr. O'Leary, asked him, hey, can I go ahead and see what you need done? He gave me the opportunity to wire his house that was all wired on the outside of his house. So he said, I'm going out for the day with my family. I trust you, I leave you, you come from Sam. So he left me there. I spent the whole day hiding all the wires, removing baseboards, fishing wires in the wall. Came back and it was like a brand new house. He couldn't believe it.
Wow.
So when he offered me Desert View Homes, one subdivision, I accepted it, and I decided that that's where Home Theater was going to take off, and I started to retire Dr. Furniture.
So you started in installing in new homes.
I started with my first subdivision. I think it was 40 to 50 homes out on Artcraft, and that was enough work to keep me busy daily.
So you were still working by yourself?
I was still working by myself. I'm going to say about 6 months prior into that, 6 months into it, I had one of my friends that worked at the furniture company said, give me an opportunity. You don't have to pay me that this week. You know, let me work for you. So he worked for me that week, and I pretty much hired him. I paid him that whole week. I believe that he worked hard. He deserves a paycheck. Kept him. So up to now, he's still with me.
Wow. So you've been doing this now for a few years, since the 2000.
Oh, yes.
And so that industry has changed a lot.
The industry changed a lot. You know, I remember back then it was coax cable. Then it went to, they used to call it RGBs, the RCA jacks that looked green, blue, and red. And then it got into HD, well, not HD, but they called it a high definition TV. So in my industry, technology changes. I will never be out of a job because it's always going to just get better and better.
And you had to keep up with that.
I had to keep up with it. I do a lot of going out of town to these, they have these shows in Vegas, Colorado, Dallas, where they're trade shows where they show you the newest and latest stuff that comes out. I believe that my job was to go out there and see what's out there, because I could pretty much be looking at a product and start thinking of what customer has asked for it, what customer mentioned it to me, and that's how you keep up with the technology.
But you also got certifications.
I got certifications. So being in my industry, it offers so much you can do without a license, and then it requires you to have license. So I started getting into the alarm systems, realizing that you do need a license. So when I say that is the state requires you to have a Texas Department Transportation's DPS. You need that license in order to secure and to install alarm systems, because why? You know, you don't want someone that's been convicted of any kind of conviction in your house. So the state requires that, and they're really hard on it too. So a lot of times anyone that knocks on your door, anyone that's going to install alarm, even security cameras, require a license for you to carry.
Wow. And so that makes you different then.
It makes me very different, because owning that license requires part of having good insurance. You need a good general liability insurance. When I say that, is not your basic 100, 200. You're talking about $1 million bonds. Something happens that you're monitoring a house or installed an alarm, falls back on you. Insurance companies could go after you. Homeowners could go after you, especially if it's a loved one or if it's something that created a lot of damage in your house.
Wow.
So doing the security was something that I realized that, you know, I'm leaving a lot of this on the table to my competitors, such as ADT was my competitor back then, Brink Security. So I figure that I'm already talking to the buyer when they're buying their house. Why can't I offer them monitoring? Why can't I offer them an alarm system? So they know me different than a door knocker, so they feel comfortable. So, you know.
So what were your early challenges in growing the business? How'd you fund the growth?
Oh God, funding the growth funding it was super hard, because Radio Shack was in town, and they were pretty much in every side of town. So I would first go see the house and hear the customer what they wanted. Inside my mind, I would pretty much piece it together. I would go to Radio Shack, and I would buy enough just to have the materials to go do the job, hoping that they were going to pay me as soon as I was done, so I could put the money back in the account. So I was just rotating money in the account, paying bills, rotating money. So any job I did, I would go buy the materials the same day or the day before I would go to the house.
So as you started making money, what did you do? Did you spend it on yourself, or did you?
I'm gonna admit I did. In the beginning, I had like 3 trucks. I had a nice I think it was a Yamaha 600 racing bike. I mean, I was just going to town with my money, but kind of started realizing that, hey, I need to be at a different level. So that's when I started thinking work trucks, and at the time that I was buying those toys, I didn't have my employee. But when I got my first employee, I needed to start making that decision and having a vehicle for him. I did have my little work truck on the side, but still I needed him to be out there to make me money. So when he would be out there, I got him his own van, and eventually it was adding more employees, buying more vehicles. I started spending my money on buying vans, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000 vans that looked nice on the outside. Pray to God that the engine was good.
Wow. But then you started growing in employees.
I started growing in employees. I remember that when I lived at my house, I had 3 vans there. One was mine, one was the other 2 belonged to 2 other guys. I hired the other guy that worked at the furniture store, so I already had 2 guys from the furniture store. We started when we were young, and up to this day, they're still with me. So I remember that I had to make a decision to start parking my van somewhere else and be more professional. So found a little spot on Pelicano, and rented that spot for about 3 years. And that little spot grew me into more employees. We had our little sign out there. People would drive by all the time and wonder what that was, and every once in a while someone would stop in saying, hey, what do you guys do? And that's how we would get more work. So that little spot was what pretty much grew me, because it was on a busy street.
Wow, wow. So what'd you learn from challenges?
What I learned from challenges is that the customer is always right. You have to pretty much give it 110. You have to be part of your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't change it. Don't have an excuse. Challenges in that is just, it's an everyday thing that you have to do what you say you're going to do.
Where'd you learn that?
I learned that from my dad and mom. My dad always told me, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. And I remember those words because people would come by our house and do some things, and my dad always had to fix what they did if he wasn't here, if he was on the road. But I always remember that. My dad was a good man, always wanting to help the whole neighborhood. So I learned a lot of the kindness from my mom and dad. Also learned the hard work ethics from my dad.
So, but you were the doer. You went out and you do the installs.
Yes. I grew up where if I wanted something, I had to go push my lawnmower around the neighborhood to make that money. I had to get a paper route to make that money, and there were swimming pool, those above ground swimming pools that are 3 feet. I remember we were able to buy one, and I was able to buy a 10-speed, but that was in the summertime, pushing the lawnmower around the neighborhood.
So you're a worker?
I'm a very hard worker.
So how did you transition to be a business owner?
I guess it's just wanting it. I'm very good at it. I'm very fast at it. I could do the job my guys do. I could also be behind a desk and figure out numbers. It's pretty much a number game, and knowing what you have to do and how you have to pay it, and I just find it very interesting.
So you're not afraid of the numbers?
I'm always afraid of numbers, but they've always made me happy.
So you started, as we've been sharing, about 1999?
1999.
You were doing furniture repair.
Furniture repair.
And you got into homes and you began to see that they needed more than just furniture repair.
I saw that one coming. I really did.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And so you got into what you call low voltage?
Low voltage, wiring and installing and products.
And so you can connect the internet and...
We could do all kinds of stuff. It's crazy, but my guys are trained to do everything and anything. We sometimes see other companies that are bigger than us, and we have to educate them or show them what needs to be done, because they can't figure it out.
So you do home security systems?
I do.
And you also got into fire?
Yes, fire. Fire is pretty important to me. I did a lot of schooling and testing on it. Realized that was one thing I was leaving on the table. So a lot of the big contract jobs that we were bidding on, I couldn't bid on fire. And a lot of that was pretty fascinating on me, because it was designing, planning, it was installing. I really saw that, wow, that's cooler than what we do.
What is fire?
So what is fire? Fire is, you walk into a hospital or school, right away when you walk in, if you look to the door to the left or right, you'll see a pull handle. It says in case of a fire, pull. You'll see an annunciator with a little screen that says the condition of the building. Fire is life safety, so fire is made that if you have a fire in the building or carbon monoxide, mainly fire or smoke, the alarm goes off and starts evacuating people. Fire department shows up quickly, so it's life safety is pretty much what it is.
So you wire those systems? So
yes, so I decided, I hired a guy that had a license, attached him to our company. We were an ARC company. The guy had me hostage, so he didn't want to come in. We couldn't do nothing about it. We couldn't go through our fire inspections. After a year and a half, it got really frustrating for me to have to pay the fire marshals an extra overtime money for them to come inspect our fire systems. So I decided that, there's no reason why I shouldn't go after that license. So they do schooling on it. I went to Dallas and San Antonio to learn it. Pretty much it's a big book is what they give you. And you sit in a classroom and you take an hour and a half of it, and you got to learn everything there is about the insurances, the liabilities, the distance of horn strobes. So took the test, passed it, and now offered it to my company, and now my license is attached to the company. Now no one holds me hostage.
Okay.
You want to leave, you could leave.
So as you're growing your business and you start with a few employees, you start getting work.
Start getting work. Continuing to hire, even up to this day, I'm still hiring. It takes a lot of people to do what we do, especially because the demand is there. We're a company that doesn't advertise. We're just straight network or word of mouth. I built something very beautiful that I asked customers, how did you hear about us? Oh, we saw your van driving down the street, we got the number. Or my neighbor, you did his house and he recommended you. You did my brother's house. So the demand is there. In my line of work, there's all kinds of things to do. It's not just one thing. So when I say that we have all these vans out there, they're different vans going out there for different needs. I have my alarm techs, I have my fire techs, I have my security, my home theater side, our pre-wire guys. So a lot of our guys specialize in different stuff. A lot of our guys could do it all too. So we're pretty much a one-stop shop.
So how many employees do you have now?
So right now we have a total of 11 employees. I'm counting the 3 girls in my office. We used to have 14 guys and 3 girls, but with this COVID, I can't get no one to work.
Wow. So you do, what do you spend your time doing?
I spend my time still going out there to look at jobs. I still do my time in the office. I don't dress like this all the time. I normally wear a polo shirt, work boots, and I'll go with the guys, see what they're doing, and I could tell if they're behind or they need help. So I'll just start working. I drive around, it's an F-150 truck that's equipped with tools, and I don't mind getting dirty. I don't mind helping the guys. Makes my day go by quicker, but I also learn a lot too from them.
And so when what was your first location?
First location meaning
Where you housed your business?
Oh, it was at my house. Second location is on Pelicano, between George Dieter and Lee Trevino. We've been there about, I'm going to say 17 years now.
Oh, really?
Being there allowed me to buy the building.
Okay.
So being there was landlord saying, hey, I'm going to sell the building. You're going to have a new landlord. I asked him, can I have an opportunity at buying it? I realized that there was other incomes in the building paying him rent. So doing the numbers in my head, I said, this might work for me because it's not just me shelling out the whole mortgage payment. So I told him, give me the opportunity to buy it. Tried every bank there was and denied. So after I went back to the owner, I told him, I'm out of options. He goes, why didn't you just come to me? I'll do owner's finance. So I asked, what is it going to take? He said, well, 20% down. So 20% down, I gave him $85,000. I was able to come up with $60,000 for refinancing my house, home equity loan, borrowed the other money from a friend, and was able to buy the building.
Wow. And you lease out other spaces?
I leased out the spaces. They were already set. There was a daycare there, a chiropractor, and then us. So I pay myself the rent back to the company. During this whole problem we had in the mortgage industry, when everything went bad, I don't know, I think it was like 12 or 14 years ago when everything went horrible. I survived it because all our vehicles were paid. I had my renter there paying the mortgage payment. I just had overhead, and that was it. So we survived it, and we actually came up on top because there was times that I couldn't pay the mortgage. I mean, not the mortgage, but the rent to myself. But because I had renters, I was able to
Wow.
continue to pay the mortgage payment.
And now you own other businesses there.
Yes, now I own a daycare.
Ah.
I had built a 3,500 square foot building for a guy that had a gym there. After 4 or 5 years, he moved out. I had a daycare there, decided that I was gonna buy the daycare from the person that owned it, and I was able to make it my daycare, and I like it because it's in our same building. I know kids and security is different, but our daycare is very secured. Fire alarm, access control, 32 cameras. We have one of the safest daycares I've seen because we do a lot of daycares
What's
too.
the name of the daycare?
Our daycare is called Kids Land.
And do you manage that, or do you have somebody?
I have a director. I allow her to manage it. She runs it like it's hers. She comes with a lot of experience. I'm there every morning, 5 days a week. After I get my guys out, I walk over there. We have a little quick meeting. What's going on? What do we need? And she'll tell me. She does a good job. There's not much for her to tell me.
That's neat. And you're expanding.
I'm expanding too. So we got into solar. I have a partner, Dr. Moreno. About 2 years ago, I had a lot of people wanting to invest in my company. Declined a lot of them. My friend, Dr. Moreno, said, come have lunch with me. Talk to me what you're doing. So I started talking to him about where I want to go, because the fire license is doing a lot of jobs. You don't get paid right away, but you got to have some pretty deep pockets. So my pockets weren't as deep as his, and I knew that he's a very good businessman. He sat and had lunch with me and talked to me. He goes, so what's big about your company? I told him that I in-house all my recurring revenues on my monitoring contracts, that I'm not the company that sells them. I'm locally owned, where I monitor. Where you have a problem, you call us, not a 1-800 number. So when I showed him the numbers and showed him how many contracts I have, his eyes got bigger and he says, I'll partner up with you.
That's neat.
So having Doc as a partner, he's been a blessing. He's taught me a lot of stuff that I thought I knew, but I get amazed. And the beauty of it is that we decided that we were gonna do solar. We have a year doing solar panels. Our goal is to manufacture, distribute, buy a huge location, and just do all in one.
Do you have a name for the solar now?
Yes, our name is called Solar Kings, DBA Ram Solar. So we pretty much use our customers, since they've been our customers. We've been monitoring customers for about 18 years now. So it's nice to pick up the phone and say, Mr. Rosales, we've been monitoring you, and I have the trust there. We've always been there to take care of them. So
when you monitor, what do you monitor?
So we monitor 24/7 burglar, fire too if you want fire. So you're out on vacation, they break in your house, well, automatically our monitoring station starts calling you. The next person you have listed on the list, same time we're dispatching police or sheriff. So by the time you answer your phone or you get the call, we're sending over PD. So they go over there and they start securing the place. And
so you have somebody monitoring that all the time?
Yes, we have someone monitoring. Customers call us Monday through Friday. After that, we have a 1-800 number that they call, and we have a company that handles that.
Wow. So you've had failures, though.
I've had failures. I'm not going to say we're a picture perfect company. It's part of learning. Being in business, it's not always 100% beautiful. You have ups and downs. You have the customers that are difficult. You have the customers that said, you said this. So I do everything in writing. I've learned to do everything in writing with the respond with the email saying, you agree to the quote. So that way, if you're going to say that that I offered it, but we didn't give it, then at least it's all in writing.
So you have everything itemized.
We still, up to this day, still create new kind of contracts saying, we get that customer, he teaches us something.
So did you learn that from mistakes?
Yes, definitely. So we cross our T's now.
Did you get into any issues, any problems?
No, I've never had a lawsuit, never had a bankruptcy. I think on my Google review, I think I have like 3 or 4, but we do 32,000 transactions a year.
Wow.
That's what QuickBooks tracks. So if I'm in business 22 years and I do 32,000 transactions, I'll take those Google reviews all the time.
Wow.
So,
Wow. So how do you know your customer?
you know, El Paso's a very small city, small town. Customers are they've been through so many different contractors. They just want someone to do it right. So my rule is if it's a really big job, I'd rather just go in and out and you pay us, because I know that we're going to work hard for that money. I know that we're going to want our money at the same time, but at the same time, we want the customer to feel like that we're not that contractor asking you for half down or to pay it.
So what do you enjoy most about the rough and tumble of building a business?
The challenge. I like it because, you know, it's not as easy as people think. You know, you got to follow taxes, you got to follow paying employee wages, W-2s, 1099s, insurances, and there's a lot into it that's a challenge. I'm always learning. I have an insurance guy that is very awesome. You know, I didn't know insurance. I thought insurance is insurance. Well, he's taught me that, hey, you know, because something could happen, could lead into this, what are you going to do? So there's a lot of learning in this. It's always, and I tell people, it doesn't hurt to ask, you know.
And has insurance helped you?
Insurance has helped us a lot. I have really good coverages on insurances. Texas is a state that doesn't require workers' comp in what we do. I carry workers' comp because I know it's important. You could have a guy fall off a ladder and everything you worked hard for could be gone the next day. So we carry workers' comp too. We carry umbrellas. We carry more than what's asked. My insurance guy has painted pretty pictures along with scenarios, and I go after the scenarios because it does happen and it has happened to us.
So what is your, would you say, do you have a business philosophy?
Do what you say you're going to do and move on.
And that's from the time you started business, right?
Yes. I guess starting was my taste of working for the furniture company. When I ran service there, I was frustrated because knowing the right thing is the customer is important. That customer could go somewhere else, but they're here with you. If you don't take care of that customer, you're not going to get a repeated customer. What I've learned is that being at that company it wasn't happening like that. So it was frustrated because I know what it was to work hard for $1. I know what it was to own something. I know that if you don't have all this money in the world, what you work hard for is very important to you too, because you worked hard for it, but you don't want something that's going to fall apart, something that's not going to work.
Did you ever believe you'd be where you're at now?
Never. I had no vision of this. I still look back at it, and I remember the days that my mortgage was due and I couldn't pay it and get a foreclosure letter, and then somehow I was able to pay it. I remember those days that my employees were always important first before I could cash my check. So I had my spending money and learning that, hey, you know, you need to have a cushion. You need to have something there to fall back on. So.
And so as you grow a business, though, you've got a lot of regulations and a lot of, things you have to address. You know, how'd you learn all that?
You know, I ask questions. I have a lot of business friends that are a lot older than me. Howard Goldberg, Supreme Laundry. I have a question. I'll call him, hey, Howard, you know, how do you do this or how do you do that? So I do have a lot of help that these men that have been in business forever and are very successful, I'm not afraid to ask them questions. They call me every once in a while and say how I'm doing and how I'm living my life, meaning the cars I drive or what I'm doing, and their words are always real estate. So I've learned that real estate is important too, because that makes you faster money than anything.
So you understand assets.
Assets, I do.
And you have a young son.
I have a 10-year-old. Well, he's 9. He's going to be 10 in August. Spitting image of me. Everything I did, I could see him doing. So, payback.
So you're training him.
What's crazy is that I compare me and him. I was the kind of boy that wanted to be playing baseball, football, out in the streets with all my friends. Hated to work. My son, if he's out there doing anything with the neighbors' kids and he sees me working on the house, he'll drop what he's doing to come help me.
Really?
And he doesn't mind getting dirty. He makes a mess, makes me work harder. But I've learned that, I'm going to pass this on to him without him realizing that I'm teaching him something. At the same time, I'm impressed because that wasn't me. So
what do you like most about what you've been through and where you're at now? What's most interesting for you?
People. I meet all kinds of people doing this. I meet people that have different lives, people that do different things, and it's amazing. It's amazing because we're all different in some way, and it's nice that I could go give a quote, I get a handshake, I'm out at a restaurant with my son and someone will come up to me and shake my hand, how you doing? And by the way, my dad needs help, or so I like that wherever I go, I could pretty much see 3 or 4 people in the restaurant knowing that we did a good job for them, and I get the high and the respect from them. So
that becomes your objective then.
I'm a people person. I realize that I'm good with people. I'm also really good at people understanding that my intentions are really good, and I work hard for it. So I want to say yes, and I want to say reputation is big on me too.
So, you've always been looking for opportunity, I guess, or needs. Is that something you see easy?
Yeah, I say it easy. I believe you do the right thing, everything else falls into place.
So you do home security, fire alarm systems, home theater. What else? And
solar,
then
a daycare.
Oh, solar. That's right. So where are you going? What's next?
Next is Airbnb. I have a house that I'm supposed to be closing on in about a week or 2. I'm thinking of going in there and gutting it out and making it really beautiful and doing an Airbnb at it and see how that goes. If I like it, then I'm going to continue to do a few more.
But you like your business?
I love my business.
And what is growth for you?
Growth for me, and I'm glad you asked me that question. In my business is the growth for me is to grow it bigger. When I say that is we monitor fire, we monitor burglar. People don't know this, but there's companies that are like mine in other states like Dallas, Phoenix. They get really big where big companies like, I'll give you an example, like ADT, Brinks, they want to buy us out. So my goal is maybe 5 years, build up this big monster and sell my accounts to Tyco, ADT. When I say that is they take all your monitoring accounts and they multiply them by 6. So I could be walking out with $10, $15 million in retirement on that end, take the home theater side, at the same time take that side and sell the contracts, because we've been working with builders for 20 some years now with the same builders. So that's the beauty of it, is there's 2 companies to sell or 1 company to sell. I know that the monitoring companies won't want to buy the wiring side, but I don't mind selling it to an employee, and they keep everyone else there and they all work together as a family and leave them that.
So you've got a transition plan.
I got a transition plan.
Did you build to sell?
I'm sorry?
Did you design your building your business to sell?
You know what? No, but I got kind of smart about 7 years ago, realizing that a company came up to me and asked me if I wanted to buy 700 accounts. So that company sold out, just like mine, sold out. I think he sold out for 5 million or 10 million, don't remember. Well, Tyco sat down with me, and my banker worked for United Bank, sat with me, and Tyco offered us 800 accounts. So we threw out a number that my bank says they'll go ahead and finance the number. So when they offered me how many accounts, and I gave them a number, they said no. We walked away, but I realized that they were trying to give me those accounts, which would have been good, but it didn't make sense because they weren't my contracts. Some people were month to month. They didn't want me to see each contract. And that company sold out had the old school alarms where the buttons were rubber and you didn't know what they were doing. All our alarms are on your phone and they're touchscreen. So you could actually see what's going on. Our alarms talk to your garage door openers, your thermostats, your door locks, cameras. So we have the latest and the greatest. So our accounts are a little bit higher in monthly, but you could monitor your house from here and know what's going on with them.
Wow. So Johnny, how do you grow? How do you as a business owner grow?
Continue to look what the next opportunity is.
And where is that going?
I'm going to try the Airbnb.
Yeah.
I really am. I want that, but I want to do a lot of that. And I also want to add another daycare further out east. I've talked to my partner, Dr. Moreno, and told him, hey, I want to do a shopping strip, and I want to have the daycare at the end. I want to do my son's into that bubble tea, so I want to do next to it a little 1,200 square foot where you could get your tea, your coffee, and meal prepping, because there's a lot out there. So I wouldn't mind that parent getting off of work, getting food or getting their coffee, dropping them off. So that's kind of my other adventure I want to look into, and we've been talking about it. We have the land already, so it's just all in the middle of.
So, but your alarm system business is growing still.
It's still growing. Every day we're putting more alarms online. Every day we're adding more accounts. Every day we get new customers.
And people still do home theater systems.
People still do. It's not as popular as it used to be. We get maybe 1 or 2 a month. People are starting to do a lot of security cameras. So we're doing a lot of security cameras right now.
So your business is home theater experts, but you really do alarm systems.
Yes. So we're home theater experts. We DBA'd it now we're called El Paso Fire and Security. So you'll see some of our vans on there that still say home theater. A lot of our other vans, the newer trucks that we purchased, we're now putting the new logo on it. It says El Paso Fire and Security on it. Why El Paso Fire and Security is because it looks more attractive. The alarm in your lawn saying your house is being monitored by El Paso Fire Security. Walking into a store, all our stickers are always right there by the door. So just like ADT puts their sticker, we put ours there too.
Wow. So what would you say to somebody like yourself coming out of high school?
Someone coming out of high school, I would say continue education, but still go after what you want to do. Find something you want, but I think education's good.
But you've gotten your own education.
I have. Boy, did I.
Well, that's paid off.
It's paid off, yes.
And you're not afraid of challenges.
I'm not. I'm not afraid of challenges. We want to start getting into school districts. We want to start getting into the bigger stuff. My partner, we have the pockets now to do that, so that's the beauty of it. We do want to grow, and there's still more license for me to get if I want to grow too.
So you've been in your business since 1999.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you're going to be in business quite a few more years. Lord
I'm going to
willing.
push it to maybe 5 years.
Okay. But you're working hard.
Yes.
That's your life. Well, Mr. Orozco, I really appreciate you sharing your story. It's an interesting story. You just saw the opportunity and saw the needs and started addressing needs and expanded, and now you're full business owner with assets and growing businesses.
Growing
That's
businesses.
fantastic. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story, and I think it's a fabulous story of a guy just working hard and making it happen. But thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, viewers, for watching, and stay tuned for more Hispanic business success stories as we talk to entrepreneurs who overcome all kinds of challenges and make their business grow. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Stay tuned.